the first topics we wanted to focus on here is immigration's impact on labor shortages. You've written a lot about the impacts on the US economy due to labor shortages. Can you explain how immigration can help remedy this situation?
Well, I think we can all agree that without labor, without employees, without people to go and work in whatever company, whatever organization, whatever place that exists out there that needs to provide services or goods to the American public needs employees. So we kind of have a mix. It's twofold here. We have, what we call the Great Resignation, and then we have this inability to bring in foreign workers to not only potentially take over some of those positions, but also to handle other positions and other job functions that exist out there that Americans just don't want to do, are not applying for whatever reason.
It seems like it's a hot button issue. It's something that voters care about.
It goes back to the 86 Ronald Reagan reform. And they say a lot of party officials or the like will go back there and they'll say, hey, that's what switched California from, somewhat red to a deep blue.
What can companies do to help deal with this shortage of immigrant labor or just labor in general?
Every day I probably field 20 to 30 calls from employers who cannot find employees. Right now, there are several, legal immigration processes that are available. One is the H-2B system, which is a great way of bringing in seasonal employees. You have companies that are getting all the big H-1B visas. You have, the bigger farming companies that are getting all the H-2B visas, because the smaller ones are not really availing themselves to the legalized programs that exist there.
I would love to get your perspective, since you've been involved in immigration law for so long, and you definitely have a great grasp on the history of a lot of immigration policy changes. I know with COVID, the legal industry got backed up in general, just court cases being rescheduled due to COVID. I would really like to know what the last 2 years for immigration law has looked for you practicing. How has it changed because of the pandemic? We had so many updates on border restrictions, so I'd love to get your take on that.
When the pandemic hit, immigration really became incredibly busy, from the travel restrictions to Title 42 at the border expulsions to people that were detained in immigration custody that were getting COVID. It was a disaster for a lot of people out there who are stuck in other countries for time periods, who couldn't get back in, couldn't find flights back in. Court hearings were halted for all non-detained cases, which took an already incredibly backlogged immigration court system and took it about probably 4 more years behind now.
Besides needing that comprehensive immigration law changes, do you see any other changes now that we're getting out of the pandemic, whether that's Ukraine specifically or just in general? What do you think is going to happen here?
I just feel that, the Ukraine has taken over COVID now, and to the point where I think that, we've forgotten about it. And even if it comes back in a variant of some sort, I think that we've, come to live with it in a certain respect. But there have been a lot of changes when it comes, during COVID, in terms of hearings for people who are detained, people who are, in immigration custody or the like. COVID brought on a time of remote hearings, which are still continuing now. A part of our country, once this idea of like a global world with the internet and with the the web and all those features, the ability to meet people from abroad, it's become so easy now. Yet ability to migrate is what's made it difficult.
How does this compare to other refugee crises that we've had in the past?
I mean, the Ukraine refugee crisis has brought the U.S. government to its peak when it comes to refugees and the like. They've acted very quickly to granting them what's called temporary protected status. You compare it to what happened in Afghanistan and the like. There are a lot of differences. I would say if you're from Ukraine, there's countries that are setting up policies like Canada to try to bring in people, from Ukraine in. It's an interesting topic, and hopefully we'll see things changing in the years to come. And I'm here to talk to you whenever.